And it is now 10:06 and time for the Saturday Special with Michael Zwerling.
Griffin Queener.
Yes.
May I ask you a personal question?
Sure, go for it.
Are you in favor of hate speech?
No, who would be?
Well, stupid way I framed the question. Do you believe that hate speech should be protected
Sure.
under freedom of speech?
Yeah, why not? It's all speech.
Okay. And do you know hate speech? What constitutes hate speech?
I would say any type of speech that is saying negative things without valid, what is that called? Like, without a valid amount of arousal, I guess. That's not the right word. But, like, without validation. I don't know. I can't think of the word right now. I can't believe it's slipping my mind. But, just saying things that are
You've been
hateful
spending
and
too
mean.
much time around us old people who are losing our minds, on a regular basis, okay, the reason I ask you that is because I'm going to play a couple of audio. They're actually videos.
All right.
That I sort of stumbled upon in the last 24 hours that I think some people might call hate speech. I wouldn't. But we're going to start the show with that, except we have to have a message from Dave Michaels.
Good morning, MZ. How are you?
I'm pretty good, Dave Michaels.
Good.
I'm excited about doing the Saturday Thanksgiving 2019 special.
Oh, really? That's today. You're
That is
going to do that
today.
today. All right, nice. That's a great topic. I love that topic.
Yeah?
I did an interview with someone who was the former president of the ACLU. She wrote a book, and I can't remember for the life of me her name. Strawson was her last name. It's on my webpage, MZ. I have a webpage now. It's flight1080.net, and you can go there and check out all kinds of previous shows as well. And on iTunes as well, you're going to see the podcast up there as well soon.
That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That's a great topic, though. I like that.
So we'll see how it flows here in this program. I want to thank everybody from last week who all the fish. We went fishing for compliments, and we got a lot of fish last week.
Really?
Well, that took up the whole first hour. I have a new friend up in San Francisco.
Oh.
And she was listening, unbeknownst to me, to the Saturday special. And she heard at the beginning that we were going to be talking about Proposition 13 and its possible, dissolution or removal or whatever you want to call it, or termination, reversal. And she didn't like that we took up all the time with fishing for compliments. Because she said, I want to hear about Prop 13,
Well, I don't think they're going to get rid of it. What they're going to do is reduce its benefits, right? So
you don't agree with Billy that nothing can be done with it without a vote of the people, because that's how it got voted in as a California constitutional amendment.
And that's how it will get voted out as well. It's going to have to go up in front of the people.
Okay.
Yeah. But the proposal is to make people immune to it, certain property owners. So commercial property owners would not affect. It would affect them. They'd have to pay higher taxes, whereas small property owners would not. It wouldn't affect most small homeowners. It's going after bigger people.
And I actually, with the commercial ones,
commercial property, and another class too.
Because the commercial property owners that make money from their commercial property, obviously. My father always used to say the greatest investment in the world is good commercial property. And I'm sure that's still the case, although I've been thinking a lot about that as I do a lot of walking, as you know, and I never know where I'm going to do my walk. It's just wherever it works out, to get to the limit, get to the minimum limit. And I'm walking through increasingly I'm walking around, commercial, empty, where
Empty
there's
buildings.
vacancies
Yeah.
in commercial places, in commercial shopping centers where there were never vacancies. So I'm sort of concerned that, the internet and digital media and has changed everything. How could anybody imagine that it could ever change the value of commercial property, of brick and mortar? A lot of these places are going begging, and I predict it's going to get worse.
Oh, it is gonna get worse.
Every one
Absolutely.
of those places, where there are vacancy signs, prime commercial property for rent or for lease, I think they're going to be transformed into what is needed, and that's residential.
Yes.
Build, baby, or convert, baby.
It's not
convert.
necessarily a bad
Build,
thing.
Yeah, it's not, because
not.
if people buy everything and even consume everything using online tools,
But what happens to mom and pop stores?
they
Just
go
too
away.
bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
just too bad.
They have to roll with the punches,
Yes.
like we're trying to. If there was ever a mom and pop store in the radio industry, it's KSCO.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But somehow we are doing the best we can to stay with the present and, and go with the future.
If you are a mom and pop store, MZ, check this out. If you are a mom and pop store and you do sell specialty items like our friends down there at the Bay Briar shop, or a good friend who sells olive oil, if you are a mom and pop store, a small store that targets a little niche group of people out there,
Yeah.
we can help you with
Boutique,
that.
yeah.
We can really help you out with that, man. We can make things work. Just ask Sharon, just ask Mike over there, ask any shop owner who has worked with us, and they will tell you, yes, it works, man. You got to advertise. You have to do something, because these guys are going to kick your butt. Amazon is going to kick your butt if you don't do something. You have to do something. You have to let people know that you have this product that they're not going to find on Amazon, that they have a better selection, people who can offer support. That's how you make it if you're a small business now, because you're not going to compete with Amazon as far as prices go. You have to offer something that they don't have, and you have to let people know that you have that.
And the really cool thing is that even with the society's habits changing, okay, I can't prove this, but I can definitely sense it. Can you? KSCO listenership is going up.
It
and
is.
It's going up dramatically.
It is. It's
I'm not on very much at all. I'm on like this 2 hours on every week. You're on way more than I am. And almost every time I go out, I'm recognized by my voice. And like I said, I'm not on all that much. So that tells me that a huge amount of people are listening to the radio station, because there's nobody quite like us. There's nobody, hardly any radio or television outlet produces most of its own content. I mean, I don't know of anyone besides us.
The interesting thing about KSCO listeners, MZ, is that what separates us from a lot of people out there on the street is a thing that you can't see, and that's what's in between our ears. The way we think, the way we, like you're going to talk about the speech about hate speech. We don't want to clamp down on anybody's speech. That's not the way we are. We are for free expression. We are for the American dream. When you wear a KSCO hat or a Flight 1080 sweatshirt, you let people know that I think, I'm with you. We're brothers, right? It's Christmas time, MZ. These things make perfect gifts. Also, we have our own olive oil out there in the Dave K.
And even
Fantastic
K's
stuff.
books. You have cases of K's books. You can sell them individually, or you can sell cases for like almost nothing.
Right.
And what a great way to take care of everyone on your gift list.
If you buy a case of K's books, I'll throw in a free bottle of olive oil. How does that sound?
Is that olive oil?
Yes. This is good. You haven't tried this, MZ?
No, what is it?
Oh, my God. There's 2 flavors that we have in there. This one is spice fig, maple pear. Oh, it's balsamic vinegar. Jesus. I don't know what I'm eating.
Listen, you would know. I mean, the Longevity comes up with new products every day.
Yeah, right.
So maybe they did, but I thought that was vinegar that you had, and balsamic vinegar. And have you ever heard of balsamic vinegar with those kinds of flavors?
No, it tastes. I mixed it with olive oil.
Frig.
Fig, spice, pear.
Frig, spice, pear.
And this one is strawberry, mango, apricot. Mix it with olive oil, then you could dip your bread in it. That's how it works.
Yeah. Oh, is it illegal? Is it illegal to dip your bread in it without mixing it with olive oil?
I don't think so.
Okay, good.
The other thing we have, MZ, because we're running kind of low on stock and time for this spot, pollen burst. People forget about pollen burst. Now, we're out of tangy tangerine, OsteoFX, and glucogel, but we do have pollen burst. If you're looking for an energy kick, pollen burst.
We should have some pollen. I found a bunch of good, fresh, but forgotten about
BTT and Healthy Start
BTT.
Pack.
Yeah, did you see that?
I did. We have.
So we do have some.
We have some. Very.
We
little.
probably have
4 or 5 of each.
Easily, yeah.
So
and we will have a big fresh supply of everything here probably by Tuesday, I would think.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Tuesday, I will probably be busy, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Okay. All right, MZ.
Thank
I'll
you,
see you out there.
Dave Michaels, and thank you, Griffin Queener. And we are going to solve the mystery of exactly what is hate speech, okay?
Good morning, a brighter day is here. Good morning, may we bring you cheer.
We've got time, we've got tunes, we've got time, tunes, and temperature.
Get up and go, it's today, you know, on KSCO Radio.
Good morning, good morning. Top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Saturday special, starring poor old MZ, the man who's always asking personal questions of everyone. Would you like me to ask a personal question of you today? Well, if you do, call 479-1080. That's in area 831.
Good morning, now stay right here on KSCO Radio.
I had hoped today to have a really special and unusual guest on, and that is my niece-in-law, who's married to my nephew, right? We had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving celebration. Probably the best in memory at my sister's house. My sister Regina is the finest chef and host that has ever existed, you know. And I can make that statement. I don't even have to have been hosted by anybody else because nobody could do a better job than Regina, okay? And she outdid herself this time. Now, the kids and grandkids were there, and all of the kids, they're in their like 40s now, right? And one is close to 50. They all have their own kids. They're doing a wonderful job raising them in this difficult world. And of course, we had, for me, it was a get to know experience. You know, my niece-in-law and I went on a walk because we had both stuffed ourselves with Regina's fabulous cooking. And I have to do my exercise. If I don't do my 5 to 7 miles walking minimum per day, and it's like 10 o'clock at night, guess what? I'm going to go in the friggin' dark. Oh, and by the way, it's really starting to bother me now. When I go out in the dark, and this is my my least favorite time of year because it gets dark real early, you know? But why is it that people who are out walking or biking in the dark purposely wear the darkest clothing they can possibly find? Don't they understand that they are courting death? Don't they understand that? And there are so many laws like seatbelt laws and helmet laws. why isn't there a law that orders people, that requires people who walk in pitch dark or even dusky dark, whether to wear the brightest clothes possible or have it be a capital crime punishable by the death penalty?
They should just have everybody wear reflectors or those bright,
people
those
do
neon
it. They do it, and
construction
my understanding is that it's voluntary. People are so stupid, and they're courting death or injury by wearing the darkest clothing anybody can possibly wear. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, but it really bothers me, and it's a horrible thing to say. But if people who do that stupidly get injured or killed, they bleeping deserve it.
Well, they could just
really
make a law.
do.
They could just make a law that makes it so that if you do get injured in the dark and you're wearing dark clothing, you're liable for it. And
what a great idea, Griffin Queener.
There you go.
You need a promotion to be sure. Yeah, let's talk about that later. So I went on a walk with my niece-in-law after having a really pleasant and engaging. I mean, nobody could be more liberal than this person. But we had a civil discussion. It's like what I always wanted for KSCO, and we're steering in that direction. We're doing our best to do that, to have civil discussions between people who have different political perspectives. And of course, with time, we hope to introduce more and more programming that's not political, but still interesting and educational, informative, and of value, right? So I said, wouldn't it be great? It would have been great if this conversation had been recorded. It wasn't. But the next best thing, because I would play it on the radio, and people would be fascinated, and they would enjoy it very much. And my niece-in-law, I invited her to be on the radio. I said, would you be a guest on the program? And she said, absolutely. I was thrilled, because I'm always going begging for guests, because I'm basically a lazy person, who doesn't think about anything ahead of time, except if something happens in my life, oh, yeah, that would be a good topic on the Saturday special, right? So, zero prep, or next to zero prep. I did a little bit of prepping, in the middle of the night. When I got up to do I always get confused between number 1 and number 2. What's number 1?
Number 1 is P, and number 2
that's
is
what
the
it
other
is.
one.
Yeah. I never get up in the middle, rarely get up in the middle of the night to do number 2, but quite frequently to do number 1.
Yeah.
And it's not because of my prostrate. Nope, it's not because of my prostrate. Many people my age have prostrate problems.
Do you just drink a lot of water before you
Yes,
sleep?
yes.
Yeah? All right,
I drink a lot of water. I drink so much water that it's gallons and gallons. I mean, it's just
That's incredible.
Yeah. But they say that's good for you. But boy, it sure interrupts my sleep. I can't go 2 hours, more than 2 hours without having to get up. But when I got up, I can't resist the urge to check email or, check YouTube or something. And I stumble across some things that say, ooh, wow, something else has come my way to share on the Saturday special. So one of the things that I stumbled upon, I don't know, within the last probably 10 hours or 8 hours, is a wonderful, wonderful video. It's only, 6 minutes long or something like that. And I emailed it to myself. Ben Carson aptly describes what lefties do. Okay? That's my title for what it was. It came to me saying he mops the floor with Adam Schiff. I don't think he even talked about Adam Schiff. I could be wrong on this thing, but everything the guy did say just rang true with me. And I just, what an amazing human being. Anyhow, so I'm going to share that with our audience starting right now. So, it's coming up here.
And thank you for your courage to be here, because in the society that we live in today, it takes a lot of courage to say that you're supporting President Trump. And, it's really quite interesting how people have tried to manipulate people and how to intimidate people and change their minds. This has been going on since we've been in America. You go back to the days of slavery, and a lot of the states there were more slaves than there were owners. So what did they do? They had to divide the slaves. So they told the ones in the house, you're better than the ones in the yard. And the ones in the yard, you're better than the ones in the field. And then after slavery was over, the light-skinned ones, you're better than the dark-skinned ones. And on it went, trying to divide people. Today, they say, if you are a conservative, then you are somehow an Uncle Tom, you're a horrible person, you're a demon. What a bunch of crap, but it's been going on for hundreds of years. And it's really time to put a stop to it. So I am very happy to see that you have the courage to come out. It doesn't bother me anymore because, I only worry about what God thinks. I don't worry about what these other people think. But sometimes people ask me, what happened to you? You changed. I haven't changed. I changed about 35 years ago because, you see, I grew up in Detroit, a bastion of liberalism. They call it progressivism now. They keep changing the name. But anyway, then from there to Boston, a bastion of liberalism. Back to Detroit, and then to New Haven, Connecticut, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Ann Arbor, Michigan, a bastion of liberalism, and then to Baltimore, Maryland, a bastion of liberalism. So I had no chance. I was a liberal. I was way out there. And then I did something that liberals are never supposed to do. I listened to a conservative. I listened to Ronald Reagan. And I said, he doesn't sound like a horrible racist person. He sounds just like my mother. And at that point, I started thinking for myself. And that made a big difference. It made a big difference in my medical career, too. I didn't do what everybody else did. I always started thinking out of the box. How do you solve this problem? And that's the reason that God gave us these complex brains. Your brain has billions and billions of neurons, hundreds of billions of interconnections. It remembers everything you've ever seen, everything you've ever heard. It can process more than 2 million bits of information in 1 second. Would God give you something like that just so that you can be a sheep and follow what somebody else tells you to do, or to think for yourself? And don't you find it fascinating that so many people say the president's a racist? He's a horrible racist and everything he does. Well, it seems to me like some years ago, Jesse Jackson actually gave the president an award in New York City because he opened so many opportunities for black people. Is that what a racist does? And then when he moved to Palm Beach, he was right on the forefront to fighting the clubs who were not admitting Jews and blacks. Does that sound like what a racist would do? He is the one who finally got the Second Chance Act done. Does that sound like what a racist would do? When he took office, he brought the office of HBCUs to the White House so it could get appropriate attention, more money than ever. Opportunity zones so that people could take this money and direct it to the places where people did not have opportunities before. An economy where you have the lowest unemployment rates for black people in history. And it goes on and on and on. Let me tell you something. If he's a racist, he's an awfully bad one. He needs to go get a lesson from the real racists. The people who look at somebody like you and me and they say, because your skin is a certain color, you have to think a certain way. And if you don't, there's something wrong with you. And they start calling you names. Those are the real racists. But you know, the president believes that a rising tide lifts all boats. He doesn't believe in identity politics, and that's why he's doing things that work for everybody. And we should be happy about that. And the media, they like to pick on him, any little thing. You know, he's not perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. The only one who ever was perfect was Jesus, and they crucified him. So, you know, think about this. And we need to just look at the big picture. Think about all the incredible things that are happening. Think for ourselves and be missionaries. Go out and talk to your family, talk to your friends, help them to realize, because see, if all they're doing is looking at certain media, they don't even know about these things that we just talked about that he has done. And so they can perpetrate this horrible image of him being a bad person. It is absolutely not true. I work with him all the time. He's a wonderful person. He's become a good friend. You remember during the campaign when we were having a debate and I couldn't hear my name. I came out, I stood there, I was waiting to hear everybody else gleefully walk past. He was the only one who stood with me until they straightened it out. That's the kind of person that our president is. He is my friend, and he will be your friend as you get to know him. Ladies and gentlemen, the 45th president of the United States, Donald.
Anyhow, did you hear that, Griffin Queener?
Yes, I did.
Would you consider that hate speech?
No. Has somebody labeled that hate speech?
No, not that I know of, but I'm certain, absolutely positively certain that there are a lot of people out there, probably not KSCO listeners, but a lot of people out there who would label that hate speech. The same kind of people who would label Rush Limbaugh as a hate speech monger, you know? And these are people who I did one of my few, you know, I only do one or two editorials a year, you know, commentaries. Maybe that'll change, maybe that'll increase. But I did one a while back where I came up with the term free speech enemies. You know, and I came up and coined the term feces, you know, to describe free speech enemies. And I think that there are a lot of people, again, probably most of whom not KSCO listeners. That's not hate speech at all, but it's pro-Trump speech. Mm-hmm. And anything that is pro-Trump speech to a person with Trump, what's that disease? Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah. That a lot of people proudly have. They own up to it. I'll bet anybody who is a victim, or even a victim of who has the Trump derangement syndrome disease, I'll bet an awful lot of those people would consider what I just played as hate speech because it's pro-Trump. Mm. And that in itself makes the person who said it racist or hateful.
Yeah, I think the definition of hate speech is pretty skewed.
It's just awful. Now, I'm very, very supportive, just like I think you are, that hate speech should be protected.
Yeah, absolutely.
By the First Amendment. Mm-hmm. But people have confused that protection by the First Amendment as meaning that people should have a right to say anything they want on a commercial radio station like KSCO.
Okay.
Very different.
Yeah,
very different. A lot of people don't understand that that's a difference.
Well, yeah, because this is a business. This isn't a piece of, you know, the government. It's private business.
You understand. And did you come to understand by your association with KSCO, or did you just know that anyhow? Is that just common sense?
I think I probably came to understand by being a part of KSCO, because I definitely viewed the radio and media and all that stuff as much more of a foreign entity than I do now, as being, you know, a part of at least a piece of it. So, yeah, I just don't think it's the workings of the media itself is very foreign to anybody outside of the business.
Okay.
I know that for sure.
Right.
And yeah.
So, I remember having a conversation with a person who was actually the really nice person, good friend of mine, actually, not real close, but a friend who happened to be the publisher of the Santa Cruz Sentinel.
Okay.
Probably, I don't know, 25 years ago, something like that. And we were talking about KSC, the notion of KSCO endorsing political candidates, just like his newspaper and like just about every newspaper does and has and probably always will. And he said that, he said at the time, not a good idea because you are a government licensed entity. And you could run afoul. That's not a term of our license that we can't be political and that we can't take stands on things. Nevertheless, he convinced me that I shouldn't endorse candidates, or that the radio station shouldn't endorse candidates on KSCO. At least back then. We might in the future. We might take a stand, like individuals like my mom. She took a stand on everything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, the future is very interesting. I mean, and I'm looking forward to KSCO becoming. I know we've been dwelling upon this a lot lately. A much more positive force in the community than it has been. But there are always going to be people, unfortunately, who characterize KSCO as a purveyor of hate speech, which is another way of saying a purveyor of speech of an opinion that is different from theirs. Now, I'm more tempted to think of those kinds of people, the closed-minded people who hate me just because I have a different opinion. But I might not like your opinion, but you know, it's an opinion that a lot of people have, and unless you're promoting the thought of people getting violent and killing and injuring people and doing illegal things, I want you to have free speech, but I do have my limits on this station. And I didn't used to have limits, but I have them now. Anyhow, I thought as I was listening to that Ben Carson thing, it was so skillfully and beautiful. I couldn't agree more with every word the guy said.
That was very well designed.
Yeah.
That was a good speech.
And he wasn't reading it. This was coming from his heart. It was totally off the cuff because I could see it on the video. He wasn't reading a teleprompter or looking down at his notes or anything. And so it came from his heart, and it was so beautifully put that I really wanted to share it with our audience and put it out there. I doubt seriously that there is anybody, there might be someone who by accident is listening to KSCO who's not normally a listener to KSCO, but who might have heard that and might have been very, very offended. And I wish, if there is such a person, that they would call, and I will treat that person with dignity and respect, because I want to hear what makes that kind of why anybody could consider those kinds of words, or the words by Rush Limbaugh, who's on 15 hours a week on KSCO, as hateful.
I could honestly consider Rush's words a little bit hateful.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't consider.
Great.
I wouldn't consider that last speech hate speech at all, but Rush's words I definitely could, because I don't know. He seems like somebody who definitely enjoys stirring the pot, which I don't mind. I mean, I like that Trump does that too, but I definitely see it as like unintentional. It's
well, a
more
lot of people,
entertaining,
a lot of people believe Trump is very, very hateful. You know that.
Yeah.
Do you say you appreciate, or you're amused? I mean, I'm certainly amused.
I'm absolutely amused.
So do you think Trump says anything is a
I mean, occasionally,
purveyor of hate
but
speech?
I mean, who doesn't get angry and say things that are hate speech? Is just speaking with hate in your mind, in your intention, even. And I mean, I do that sometimes too. You were just talking this morning about how you hate people wearing black, or dark clothing in the night, and that's fine. I would consider that hate speech, though, but I don't think that's wrong. Like I have a friend who talks about how they hate how bikers never stay completely in the bike lane, but they always ride on the line, and then it makes it awkward to pass them. And I hate that too.
And they're very arrogant.
Yeah, and they're very arrogant. It's just annoying.
Okay, so hate speech, in your mind, doesn't necessarily have anything to do with ethnicity or
no, it's just angry talking. It's just talking about something with hate. I think that's what hate speech is. It gets messy once you start including race and all of the other stuff. I don't like any of that, but if you're just mad about something and you're voicing your opinion and it's labeled as hate speech, then that's fine. I have no qualms. So, yeah.
People could label anything that they want, but there are people who label hate speech as something that should be removed and not be allowed, period.
Which is just ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, you can't form an opinion on yourself. You can't trust everybody to just, have their own ideas and have their own opinions and be like, oh, okay, well, that's obviously just somebody who's crazy, talking about. That's what I never understood about people who got mad whenever anything went over, public airwaves or over the television or anything like that. That wasn't, swearing or anything like that. That was just like an opinion.
And I get mad that swearing is allowed everywhere else except on KSCO, not just KSCO, but on the FCC licensed broadcast stations, because the public owns the airwaves. Well, I got news for you. The public owns there's airwaves involved in transmission of nearly everything, like
audio,
satellite,
right?
Yeah, like satellite and so forth. That's the airwaves. That's the public airwaves, and yet HBO, you're allowed to say bleep on, and be as crude and as profane as you. Why in the world does that not extend, and should it not extend to commercial broadcasters? We have to have an audio condom, and we do. We do our best to hit it in time when some profanity leaks through. I don't think people call and try to F-bomb us intentionally. I think it's just the way people talk. It's become pretty accepted, but we're supposed to bleep it out, and most of the time we do. But I don't think we should ever have to. I really don't. If someone calls a talk show and uses profanity, okay, it's part of the passion, perhaps, of their discussion, of their presentation. That should not. In fact, bleeping it out is doing a disservice to them. It's editing their comments. Anyhow, don't get me started on things that bug the bleep out of me. Because there's two, the dark clothing thing at night and I do think that wearing dark clothing at night should be a capital crime punishable by the death penalty. I do. That's how strongly I feel about that.
I mean, how are the cops going to catch him, though, if they can't see him?
Good point. But it's like what you said earlier. If someone is killed or injured, and it turns out that it was at night, and it turns out that they were wearing very dark clothes, which would make even a person with extremely perfect visual acuity to see, then how should anybody but themselves, as you pointed out, be liable?
They should probably pay for the damages too. If it was their fault, if you hit them with your car and there's a big old dent in it, they should be the ones.
All right, looks like we have some callers here. Ready. Our first caller will be Keith in Aptos about dark clothes. Hey, Keith, thanks for calling the Saturday Special.
Hey, MG. Thank you for keeping this beautiful, wonderful radio station alive. Just on a side note, I was calling about the black clothes. I got a story I think you'll love, but I was in the station in 1968 at 8 years old when my father worked at the station and did outside sales, but it was Bring Your Son to Work Day. And I went in there and I saw these big tube, instead of transistors, they were tubes. And it ended up I became an electrical guru. So I blame it all on KSCO.
Oh, wow.
But,
we still have one of those transmitters.
really?
Yeah, in the
Oh,
in the control room, it's a backup transmitter. I'm not sure we've ever had to use it, and I'm not sure that if we have a backup, and this was actually a backup to the backup. So my guess is that if we had to use it, there's a good chance it wouldn't work. But the tubes are so cool looking, it's so retro that we had to keep it
Oh,
here.
well, they are. But I want to thank you for keeping this awesome, free station alive. And thank you. As a radio buff my whole life.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. And I do miss your mom's little, I don't know what you would call them.
Commentaries, Kay's commentaries.
Commentaries, thank you.
Yeah, and
you
Dave has cases of them here at in the Dave Cave, and they make perfect gifts. I plan on making a promo.
I've got Kay's book.
Well, what I'm saying is that book makes wonderful holiday gifts. Christmas, Hanukkah gifts, and so forth.
I didn't think about that.
And they're so inexpensive when you buy like case quantities. Yeah, so it's like under $100. It's like $5 each or something less. And single quantity they're like $25, but I think you will sell them for $15 or something. But in any case, if you might get lucky and get one with a personal signature from.
Personal autograph. I'd love that.
Yeah.
I never met Dawn personally, but she was a wonderful, wonderful person, and I do miss her. You actually know me. I'm the guy that has the dog that wears sunglasses.
Oh, great. Yeah. That's one of my favorite photos. Yeah, I have it. We should put it up on the website or something. So,
my landlord, and you might remember him, he was back then called Howard of Aptos. He's now 73, 74. He rides a bicycle every other day that's black, with black pants, black shirt, black coat, no flashing lights on the bicycle. He has I don't know if I can say, I think I can say this I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Okay, he wins the Limp, award. And we live up Trout Gulch Road. I'm like, dude, imagine your daughter's 60 years old. She just got a driver's license. She hits you, kills you, maims you, and has to live it with the rest of her life. You know what his reply was? Oh, I got ice water in my veins. So, after a year of this BS,
Well, listen, I don't think you should mention names, and I think you did, and we don't approve of that. But because that, you could cause all kinds of problems for.
I said a first name only.
Oh, I see. Okay, great.
Okay. Anyway, I bought him one of them reflective vests. And they're real cheap at Harbor Freight.
Okay.
He wore it one night, and then it went into the trash can. He's out there. He was out there last night. He came home about 8:30. It was dark. I could barely see his flashlight through my window, which is 2 stories up. My dog actually let me know he was actually coming down the road.
Right.
So when you're talking about people wearing dark clothes at night, thank you. It's so nice to hear somebody else's second reality. Because these people are putting.
When I was a kid, that used to be a public service announcement. Wear brightly colored clothing if you're going to be out walking or biking at night. You don't hear that anymore. Why don't you? There are laws for lots of other things for your own good, to protect you. Why isn't there a law about that?
I wish there was, and you hit the nail on the head. Thank you. That's why I called in, because I got to deal with this almost every night, and this guy's out there, and he doesn't care about the public, nor about himself.
Yeah.
I mean, the bicycle is black. There's no lights or reflectors on the bicycle. It's a real old piece of junk. And he's out there. You know where Trout Gulch Road is?
Sure. That's a dangerous place in the daytime. Let alone night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And unfortunately, my dog's not wearing her sunglasses today because it's not sunny. But seriously.
Okay, Keith.
Thank you for keeping this station.
And thank you for the kind words. Very much appreciate it. Next caller will be Bill in Santa Cruz about hate. Hi, Bill. What do you have about hate for us?
Well, I think that people will talk about Trump as being a perpetrator of hate, hate speech, and then you get into the subject of, are we going to, in some way, censor what's called hate speech in the media, social media specifically? But I think that the left has more demonstrable hate for Trump than Trump demonstrates in return. Trump, I think, does demonstrate an extreme passionate dislike for the mainstream media, which is very biased against him. And so he expresses that. I think he expresses a passionate dislike for some of the liberal policies that have been detrimental to the country from his viewpoint. But I think that there's much more hate perpetrated on him. I actually think that the Democratic Party as a whole, I think maybe 40, 50% of them would impeach him for nothing other than the color of his hair. And maybe 10 or 20% would take him out if they could, if they had access to do it and wear the badge proudly to jail. I think that's the kind of hate that's going on in our country right now.
Couldn't agree with you more. So there's a word in abnormal psychology called projection, and the people who characterize what I just played as hate, are the real haters themselves, and that's projection. So anyhow, thanks for bringing that up. Appreciate it, Bill. Is this the Bill who is in architecture?
No.
Okay, because
Okay.
I hadn't heard from him in a while.
Okay. I thought
you might be him.
when I hear about the hate, it's like I think there's a lot more directed to him than away from him. I know he's a counterpuncher type guy. He's not playing by the Queensberry rules when it comes to counterpunching. He's going to hit back hard. But this guy, I can't even believe at his age he can take the heat he's taken from these people. It's incessant. From the moment he won, even before he won, it's been termed resistance, but it's really how do we take him out from governing? We reject his governance, and they've done nothing but attack him constantly. And there is such a thing as an election, and we will have another one, and the American people will speak again. As to who they want.
And he will
be
be reelected because of them. Because of them.
Well,
not in spite of them, because of them.
Well, I think if he gets reelected, a lot of polls would say that that might not happen, but I think that he stands a very good chance of being reelected because a lot of the things that he has done has actually helped the country, and I know that the people that hate him and hate him with a passion would not agree with that, but the economy is doing well, and he has done what he can to get the regulatory bodies to ease up on our getting things accomplished economically in the country. And the Tax Act that they did pass actually has really helped business quite a bit to where it's just humming along and unemployment's low, wages are going up. Clearly he has identified China as the primary threat, not Russia. That's just like a no-brainer. And amazingly, Obama attacked Romney for saying, why are you still talking about Russia? But that's all we've been talking about since the 2016 election is that Trump was in bed with the Russians. But really the Russians aren't the threat. All they have to sell economically is oil and gas reserves, and primarily to Europe. That's who they're supplying it to. And China's the real economic powerhouse, and that's really what we have to deal with. And Trump has clearly identified that. And, in comparison to Joe Biden going over there and his son riding with him and having that hedge fund funded by the Chinese, it's just like night and day as to what's going on. So I think those are the kinds of things the American people are going to look at. Now, obviously, the 60 to 70% of the Democrats are going to go that direction anyway, so it'll be a tight election. But I think more people are going to say that he's been of a benefit overall, in spite of the constant hateful attacks against him.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a close election.
You think he's going to win in a landslide?
Yes, I do.
Don't you think the landslide?
I think a lot of the people,
New York and in California, those.
I think
those
are
huge
surprising.
electoral states.
You're right, but I also believe that when people that there are going to be a surprising number of people in places like New York and places like California who, once they go into the polling booth, they're going to look around, make sure no one's watching them, and they're going to vote for Trump too. Some of them, not some, a surprising number. My prediction is just an enormous landslide. At one point, I said I'm willing to bet that it'll be the largest landslide in history in the presidential election. And somebody said that's a really idiotic thing that you just said, MZ, because you think it's going to be more than, I forgot what they gave an example that I didn't even know about, with the first, second or third president or fifth president or something like that. No, it's not going to be 99%, but it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge because of their actions. Excuse me?
Who do you think his opponent's going to be? Who do you think is going to win the Democratic nomination? Obviously, whoever.
I think they better if they're the only one that I can think of right now that would be smart for them to run would be Bloomberg.
Okay, so you think Bloomberg would be the guy?
No, yeah. He could be. Of every one of the Democrats that want to unseat Trump, I think he's got the biggest chance of anyone that I've heard of at this point.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think that the Democratic Party will. I think there's three primary constituencies with the Democratic Party: the African American, the centrist, and then this new kind of progressive millennial socialist wing, which backs Sanders and Warren. Right? I don't see a candidate on the floor that's capable of bringing them all together like President Obama was able to do in his elections. He was able to reach into all three of those and unify those
Bill.
three.
Yeah.
And I don't see that. Bloomberg is going to be hated by the left. If he gets the nomination, they're just not going to turn out. You got to turn out those constituencies to win. I don't think the African Americans constituency is going to turn out for Bloomberg. Okay? So he's got the centrist, yeah. But at least Biden has centrist and African American. Okay? He's been trying to
I don't think he's going to even get it
to the far left.
I don't even think he's.
I think he's just not up to the job. I mean,
Right.
you can just tell he can't respond. I mean, you could say onset dementia, whatever it is. It's just he's not there. I mean, he's not the guy.
Yeah.
That's who is the candidate? I mean, that's their problem. I see
Bill,
that
listen,
as
I
their
hate
problem.
to do this. What a great caller you've been. But we've got less than 20 seconds to the top of the hour. I want to tell Dick in Santa Cruz, Tony in Santa Cruz, Nancy in Carmel, Stephen Ben Lomond, and Sean in Live Oak to please stay on hold. We promise we'll get to you at the beginning of hour number.
And into Santa Cruz. And as for weather, it's 50 degrees out right now. We're going to see a high of 55 today and low of 49 this evening. And it's going to be rainy this entire week. All right, it's 11:06 and time to return to the Saturday special with Michael Zwerling.
Griffin Queener.
Yes.
Are you as excited as I am that we're finally getting some rain?
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
Good. Yeah, I do too here. Wow, we lost some of the people. Some of the people hung up. Well, they have other things to do in their lives rather than wait to be selected on the Saturday special, probably. But here, let me do what needs to be done here, and that is play the hour number 2 opening. You know, that telephone jingle?
Oh, hello, darling. I hate to hang up on you, but I'm sorry, baby, but I have to go. It's time for that wonderful record show. I'd love to visit, but you'll have to call back. KSCO has the inside track.
I have just learned something special. Flight 1080's podcast is now on iTunes.
I'm sorry, baby, but I really gotta go to KSCO Radio. Bye.
That sets a great example for me for the Saturday special. Why hasn't the Saturday special been on iTunes even since before iTunes was in existence? Why? Can you tell me, Griffin Queener?
I cannot.
Well, I'll have to talk to Jonty about that. You know, maybe he's already told me, and maybe I forgot, because I forget things that were told to me a minute ago. But it takes a big man to be honest about things like that. All right, so Dick and Tony and Nancy and Sean are here, but the others hung up, and I don't even know who they were because I didn't take a photo or I didn't take a note. But if you want to call back, we do have some lines open, but I'm going to hit the take next button, and the computer will decide who is next. Why, it's Nancy and Carmel about swearing. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, MZ. Happy holidays.
Would you, thank you, to you too, but would you do me a favor and back off at least 1.5 feet from your mic, from your phone? I don't know why, but we just have a connection that, and I've learned that I can't fix it by potting you up or down.
What does this sound like?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. First of all, I want to tell you how great you are. Don't ever change.
Me personally, or the station?
Well, you're responsible for the station, so that's the way my mind works. It's all your crew, too. But I think the last buck is you, so there you go.
Well, thank you.
Anyway, a couple of things. When you wait on hold, you get off topic because a new topic comes up. But
yes.
I'm going to go back to your FCC regulations for a second.
By the way, while you're going back, go back some more on your phone because the crackling was coming back to us here. So that's...
Okay, what's this like?
Perfect. Just stay there. Stay there.
Okay. So, I think swearing doesn't bother me, and when people use it as an adjective, like the effing or whatever they're saying, I think it's just sort of a lousy habit that they get into, and I don't think that they're being malicious or rude or anything else sometimes. However, I think that in general, social engineering done by those that have the power to do so have not only brought down the classiness and the respect and everything else that's good about properness to a real low level on purpose. I'll give you an example. A&E, which is a cable station on television, used to be thought of as really, really highbrow, marvelous.
I don't know why you're fading in and out all of a sudden, Nancy.
I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, well, it's a cell phone. It's just what it is. And, you know, if we made a restriction
I can
about...
call you back on a landline.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Let's do that. Yeah.
That's why I try to make do with this. But
No. Call back, please, and put Nancy Griffin at the head of the line. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, because we want to hear what you have to say, and we're not here.
All right.
Oh my God, look at here. So yeah, we come. Yeah, call back, and Griffin will put you back on. Jaunty, hi, Jaunty.
MZ. Hey, MZ.
We're starting a brand new tradition here at KSCO, the Jaunty segment, which I had already forgotten about. Because he's supposed to be the first human to come on in hour number 2. Yeah, I don't count.
We didn't. I don't know if we really discussed what I was going to talk about, but I think that
You're gonna. I need to explain. I need to remind some people that you, Jaunty McCollier, is our Director of Digital Operations at KSCO and ZBS. Okay? And the reason that we, I'll explain to you why we decided that it would be a good thing. We need to start training our audience to use the tools that we have invested a lot of money in terms of digital media. But we don't remind people enough about it. It's good. So I'm taking 100% blame for this. You know me. I take, instead of blaming other people, I always blame myself for every shortcoming, that has anything to do with me or anything I'm associated with.
I was thinking maybe we could do a little experiment here, just for a laugh, because we want to see how well we are able to communicate with our audience. And we also want to let the audience know, fans of the Saturday Special know, that there's a lot of ways to listen and engage with your show. And it's really the easiest darn thing in the world to find, to do. So all you need to do is type in, go and visit the website. Or
KSCO.com, yeah.
No, hold on. No, Saturday Special. SaturdaySpecial.com.
Oh, okay.
I'm sitting here watching the stats. Now, if you want to check out MZ's Saturday Special YouTube channel, subscribe to it. It'd be fantastic. It'd be great to get a couple subscribers there. You can also
I want several million, not just a couple. Let's not beat around the bush, Jaunty.
I agree. I think 5 million minimum.
Yeah.
And
we deserve it, because most of the Saturday specials are quality content. Not very professional content, but quality content.
Well, you've had some really fascinating interviews recently, and some great topics. So all of those are up on. We've got our own log of past shows that's also on YouTube. A lot of people use YouTube. It's easy to use. You can subscribe to the iTunes podcast, Google podcast. Also, MZ, you've got your own personal newsletter there.
I do.
If people start signing up for it, then you absolutely do, and I'm hoping that they do. So if you want to be notified about a topic that MZ is planning to do, if you want to get,
or even suggest one, that'd be good, with a topic and a guest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So if anybody in the audience out there wants to just demonstrate their proficiency and their affection for the Saturday Special, go to SaturdaySpecial.com and take a look. Actually, I see I'm watching the live stats here. 6 people already pitched up to take a look at that page in lieu of our conversation.
Well, I mean, that's gratifying.
It's not 1 million, not 6 million, but it's a start. It's a start.
Well,
I'll keep my eyes on.
And we have ourselves to blame, because we haven't promoted this for 15 years. We were one of the first radio stations to stream live on the internet. But do you think anybody knows that? Because that's our fault, because we haven't promoted it. And we have a perfect vehicle or medium to promote it, and we just haven't. But that's going to change. And part of getting that change to come to pass is having a few minutes with Jaunty. at the hour number 2 of the Saturday special at the beginning. So thank you, Jaunty. If there anybody, wait a minute, I'm going to put you on hold before I let you go, okay? I'm going to put you on hold, and I'm going to poll each of the people waiting on hold right now to see if they have something they want to ask you, okay? So hold on. Don't go away, Jaunty. Let's see. I'll probably press the wrong button and hang up on him. Nope, I got it. I put him on hold. So let's see. Who's been waiting the longest? Dick in Santa Cruz about hate speech. Is there anything you want to ask Jaunty?
Well, he was going to, he took some of my fire,
He did?
I didn't listen to everything he said. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he was.
Well, then you could use this opportunity to scold him. You don't have to ask him a question. You can scold him for taking some of your fire.
Well, I had a few thoughts about hate speech. I mean, generally, if you want me to talk about that.
I do. But just before I let Jaunty go, is there anything you want to address to him, our Director of Digital Operations? Because that was a perfect opportunity.
He's doing an excellent job on that part of the business.
Oh, good. Okay.
I like your archives, and I like the ability to skip through whatever archive podcast that you make. I like that.
Yeah. And by the way, the show notes for the Saturday special are a product of Dave Michaels' genius. He's been doing the show notes for the Saturday special for years, and I can't imagine anybody doing a better job. So
right, and then you can search it.
Yeah. And this is what we're going to have to do with all of our hosts. If they want to be included after the first of the year, if they want to be included, I think it's, what did we say, Jaunty? Well, he's not on. I guess I could lock Dick in and put Jaunty back on. It's December 15th, isn't it, Jaunty? We decided that come December 15th, the people who do not write show notes for their own show, because I'm not going to pay someone to sit there and listen and do the show notes when the host should do it themselves. Those hosts who don't think enough of their show to do show notes so that it can be searched worldwide and found and go viral if it's any good. I mean, if it's real good, will be kicked out of our archives. Didn't we decide that?
I think that is what we decided. Yes, we originally played with January 1st, but you said forget that. Let's get serious about this and make it happen. It's just it's a really simple process. So we'll radio folks aren't always the most technical, but we'll get them up to speed.
Right. Okay. So Dick and Jaunty are on together. Before Dick called about hate speech, and I want to let him have his say, but I do want to poll Tony and Nancy and Rory and Sean about this real quick, okay? So stay on, Jaunty, and stay on, Dick, okay? Don't go away, Dick. We will come back to you, and I'll make this real fast, okay? I promise. I know I've said that before, and it turns out to be nothing. Tony in Santa Cruz, do you have anything to say to our Director of Digital?
Yes, I'm. As you know, I'm an idea.
Talk louder.
About 5 years ago, I had the idea that your archives could be monetized by making them searchable for people's names. When my father-in-law died, can you hear me okay now?
Fine, go ahead.
When my father-in-law died, he was a very interesting guy who fought the House Un-American Activity Committee. Anyway, he died about 78, and he was well-spoken, and I brought my son, who's a videographer, up from San Diego to use one of those $50,000 video cameras, and he interviewed him for 5 or 6 hours, and then cut it back to 2 hours, and it was played at his funeral at a continuous loop at his Memorial Day. And so there's a possibility of having a company called Goodbye Hello, and you make your archive searchable for people's names so that anybody who dies can, for a fee, have you gin up an hour long or half hour long story of everything that happened to him to his life as far as and people can start calling.
This is your life posthumous.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you could do that, and people will be buying them to play at memorial services. So that's my idea for you.
What a
But
great
I have
idea.
other
Thank
things-
Okay, I'll put you on hold, so don't hang up. Okay. So I just want to make sure I don't hang up on you. Okay. Let's see. Sean in Live Oak. I know Sean wants to talk about dark clothes, but is there anything you want to ask our digital guru, Jaunty?
Well, I'd made the suggestions of getting some of your stuff up on Minds or BitChute, and I'm glad to hear you're getting it up on YouTube and iTunes. I guess my only suggestion is we know that YouTube is censorious, and are you considering branching out to some of these other things like
Oh, no. We're going to put all our eggs in YouTube's basket, aren't we, Jaunty?
Well, I absolutely appreciate what the caller is saying, and online censorship is a major concern. You recently had Zach Boreas and Laura Loomer on. Both of them have had issues with YouTube. I'm very suspicious. I'm very cautious, but that's also the largest repository of information that's ever existed. So for us not to have a footprint there would, I think, be a mistake. I'm a fan of Minds. BitChute I'm not as familiar with, so I'm aware of it. There are a variety of alternate online venues that are coming of age and starting to compete with the behemoths, and I'm all for it. I very much want to support all of those. So I take what the caller says very seriously, and I'll have my ear to the rail on that for sure.
How does it feel to have been taken so seriously, Sean, in Live Oak?
Well, I just thought it was a natural thing for the radio station to kind of cross-pollinate, to use your radio waves and the internet.
It is a no-brainer.
Yeah.
And it's been a no-brainer since 1994, but better late than never to get wise to things that are no-brainers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, stay on hold. We'll come back to you to talk about dark clothes. Okay, let's see. Rory in Watsonville.
Thank you.
Okay, I know you want to talk about Prop 13 again.
Yeah, we'll get back to that. On your guys' app on my phone, and I've deleted it and reinstalled it. The Comey tab doesn't stream at all. So I don't know if that's something.
This is an outrage. Jaunty, what are we going to do?
It might be my Comey old phone. I've got a 5S.
No, it's not. We haven't updated the app in a little bit too long. That's in process right now, and it should be sorted out in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, sorted, spelled SORDID.
Yes, sorted. That's all I had for Jaunty. I'll stay on hold.
Okay, so here, I'll put you back on hold. Let's see, hold, not drop. And now, of course, we're coming back to our good friend Nancy and Carmel. Nancy, do you have anything for poor Jaunty?
Just that it's a great idea, and I've noticed that when I go on YouTube, I often find people who use radio shows, and they just have a picture that you're looking at, but you're hearing the entire show, like Coast to Coast or something like that.
Yep.
So that will get you into other people's heads that don't know anything about KSCO without even needing to know about KSCO.
Right.
So that's
that way I won't have to berate these people who don't know about us for not knowing about us.
By the way, I'm on a landline, and is this okay now?
Much better.
Okay. So I won't beat this to death. I'll just tell you that regarding language on the radio, I believe in free speech in every corner of the world, but the fact that they have certain, I don't know, decorum?
That's the word. That's a perfect word, yeah.
Okay. I like that, and I'll tell you why. I've noticed in my lifetime things going down in terms of politeness, everything. You know, it's just sort of, people speak differently.
There's a
They
decorum crisis
dress
in our
differently.
society.
You know, it's okay to have tattoos all over your body. You know, whatever. It's fine. Do whatever you want. I'm a libertarian type person, so I don't care. But when you speak, I respect people a lot more when they are eloquent and not prone to say or you know or the effing or all those things that are sort of lazy, not well thought out when you speak. I mean, it's courtesy. It's good manners are simply being courteous to someone else. That's what it's all about. It's showing that you respect them enough to not just go into your own little world, but to show that you're making an effort to be polite or whatever. And on the radio, I believe that that's a good idea, too. I don't want to hear, if I want to hear all that stuff, I'll go to HBO, you know, or whatever. But I don't, personally, I'm not offended, but it's just not good enough for me. I have very high standards in my life. So that's all I wanted to say about your changing.
And I salute you, but all I'm saying is that we shouldn't be prevented from being crude and crass if we want to be.
No, but what if somebody takes advantage of it to the point where, well, I guess you can just say, get out of here, you're disgusting. But, you know, I mean, there are people who will probably milk it because...
Well, we don't want to invite the trolls back. We have been cured of cancer quite recently. And I've been saying that, and I mean it. We don't have the negativity and the, you know, the toxic...
Because I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And, you know, so that's great.
Yeah,
and
the trolls hijacked KSCO for several years.
The way
and no
I operate in life, and I think you do too, and most people who are successful and happy are, you go the high level. You don't do the common denominator. You go up, not down. So that's all I had to say. And I love you very much. Thank you.
Ditto. Thank you for saying it on KSCO AM 1080. Take next. That would be Dick on hate speech. John T., you can hang up if you want to, you know, or do you not want to?
I'd happily do so, but I'd love to respond to the previous callers, which makes a fantastic point. I see the legal aspect, and as a libertarian, one would want to allow anybody to say anything. There's also the cultural side, wherein clarity of speech is both a symptom and a cause of clarity of thought.
Are you done?
Yeah, sure.
Somehow I expected more.
Oh.
But that's okay, Jaunty.
I could end it with ba-bum-bum.
Okay. I'm going to unlock you. Of course, you could have hung up, and it wouldn't matter that you were locked in.
Well, MZ, what I think I'll do is I'll just stay here, and I'm going to watch the stats and listen to the show for a bit. But there's a bunch of callers today, and then you're putting on a great show, so I'm going to leave you to it.
Okay, great. Tony, you're on the air, and I think Dick is still on the air. Who was on... who should I have on first to talk about hate speech?
I don't care.
That's Tony who doesn't care. So, Dick, why don't you go?
Sure.
I think Dick is gone. Dick got tired of waiting.
A little humor there.
No,
Yes,
it's true.
Okay.
Dick, are you there? I'm going to unlock you, and as soon as I unlock you, I'm going to be able to drop you because you're not answering my calls. I mean, you're not answering my, request that you speak. Okay, Dick. Going once. Going twice. Dick is dropped. Okay, Tony, it's all yours.
Bye, Dick. Okay, alluding, both Nancy and John T. alluded to what I was going to say. Chris,
you know what? Do you have a landline? Your phone, your cell phone. We can't hear you.
You can't hear me now?
No. It's just
I'm in
awful.
my car. I'm in my
Okay,
car.
well, thank you. We'll call next time here. Let's see, who's Sean in Live Oak about dark clothes?
Yeah, and I just kind of wanted to make a little aside on hate speech.
Oh, yes.
I remember Skokie, Illinois, and that was allowed. And it just seems like we were a lot wiser about hate speech back then because we allowed these neo-Nazis to make fools of themselves. And that's precisely what happened when they had that march.
That's a very good point. Give them enough noose, give them enough rope, and they'll hang themselves.
Yeah. So that's the thing that the best way to discredit a bad idea is to let the bad idea express itself.
Good point.
Yeah.
Okay, now what about dark clothes?
Well, the thing about dark clothes, I've had a few experiences of driving myself where some pedestrian has been in a crosswalk, and it's at night, and it's in the kind of weather that we have, and they're in dark clothes. It's very challenging just to see them, and it becomes very challenging to avoid hitting them. And, well, I'm supposed to be the person that's held fully responsible for what's happening, and they have no responsibility.
Yeah, that's
for themselves.
that's what needs to change. And I think
Yeah,
Griffin Queener's idea, I think he hit the nail on the head.
And the thing is what I really want to add to what I'm seeing with dark clothes is people in dark clothes crossing crosswalks at night, looking down at their cell phones. They're not even paying attention.
Why is there this pregnant pause? Because you expected me to say something and I didn't?
No, I just ended my point of thought.
Well, I agree with you.
Yeah.
And I can assure you that 100% of our audience agrees with you.
Yeah, that's, I guess the other thing that sort of occurs to me is I'm a motorcycle rider, and I'm now 67 and still riding motorcycles. And the only reason I'm still alive is I take responsibility for myself. You know, I don't trust other people to drive well. In fact, I anticipate that they're not going to drive well. So this is just a matter of survival. If you want to go around oblivious and uncaring, don't be surprised when bad things happen to you.
You know, Sean in Live Oak, I love to ride motorcycles. I just love it. But I never had one because I always believed that I would lose the use of both arms and both legs, and it wouldn't be my fault. So I'm happy to hear that you have gotten to the ripe old age of 67, riding a bike for presumably, many, many years.
Since I was 17.
Yeah. And have not been maimed or killed. But I think you've been incredibly lucky. And I hope you continue to be incredibly lucky.
Well, the thing is I don't just rely on luck.
That's what I'm saying. I think, yes, you don't rely on luck, but it doesn't matter whether you just don't rely on luck. The chances are that there's no. I once had a friend in college who was missing half of his pinky, his little finger, and I was staring at it, and he saw that I was staring at it, and he says, "Oh, my finger got in disagreement with a buzzsaw, and the buzzsaw won." Makes me think of you and your motorcycle habit, and I've got lots of friends who drive motorcycles, and I hope and pray they continue to be fortunate and not, and every one of them, is a defensive driver like you are. That's why I'm not a motorcycle rider, because it wouldn't be my fault. It would be somebody else's fault that I have no control over. All right, anyhow, thank you very much for calling the Saturday Special, Sean in Live Oak. Here's Rory to talk about Prop 13.
Hey, yes, thank you, MZ. Quick comment on so-called hate speech. I kind of put it in the same category as hate crimes, because it's like a made-up term by the political correct police to get you to stop thinking something you think somebody else might not like. So, like, when I hear about hate crimes legislation, I go, well, let's have a hate crimes legislation if you can show me what a love crime is. Because crime is crime. You're committing an act of attack, assault, theft. You know, you name all the crimes that are out there. So I think to me, that's a canard, hate crime. And hate speech, I mean, isn't that basically ad hominem attack, which is Latin, that means to the man? You're attacking the person. And as repugnant as that may be, let it flesh itself out in the marketplace of ideas. And like the other guy said, like the people that marched in Skokie, they just exposed themselves for being knuckleheads, to put it nicely. But anyway, that's my little comment on hate speech. I mean, there are things that need to be hated, and if people don't like it, well, it's a free country. You don't have to think the way I think. But anyway, the point I wanted to make on Prop 13, because I know you talked about it a little bit with Dave Michaels here at the outset of the show, is it would be interesting to look at a analysis of commercial property ownership and how much of it has changed hands since 1978. I'm sure there's farms, ranches that haven't, because people try to keep land generationally that are, small landowners. But a lot of commercial property changes hands pretty frequently. If you think of retail office or retail space. And the only people that are going to benefit from downgrading Prop 13, getting rid of the commercial aspect of it, is going to be the bureaucrats that run the state of California and love to mismanage our money. Look at the bullet train to nowhere that was featured last week or 2 weeks ago on MO's program. So I just think that we got to be vigilant, keep all tax protections in place, because they'll chip away, like I said last week. They'll start on the commercial. Next thing you know, they're going to be coming for the homeowners. And they won't stop. They have a voracious appetite for your hard-earned money. So I'm just curious what you think about that. Are you aware of how much commercial property has been held by the same hands pre-78 till now?
I think most of it is what I believe. Now, I haven't checked into that, but you got me thinking last week, because I was starting to think that might not be a bad idea to allow the commercial property that generates so much commercial revenue. On the other hand, earlier in this conversation, we were talking about how a lot of vacancies exist in commercial property, and that's got to have a chilling effect on property values.
Well, yeah, and then the market, if they can't lease that space out and it sits there empty, 100% of zero is still zero. So they're going to be motivated. They're going to drop their prices, or they might look at changing the zoning, and or looking for a variance so they could put in some residential living space. But that's the market. Let it take its normal course. The bottom line is Prop 13 has saved a lot of small landowners a lot of money over the years, and the state of California hasn't gone broke. We're supposedly the 6th or 7th largest economy in the world. So how is Prop 13 hurt? That's what I, say. And even back, that was the first year I could vote in 78, and I voted for the competing proposition. I don't know if you remember it, Proposition 8. It's because I was brainwashed by the LA Times.
What was Prop 8? What was Prop 8?
Prop 8 was a competing proposition against 13. It was supposed to ameliorate some of the property tax issues, but not as strict as Prop 13, because Prop 13 locked in your property tax at 1978 levels.
No,
and then you were-
1975 actually.
Or 75. Okay, so they rolled back 3 years worth of increases, and then the state could only increase it, what, 1.25% a year?
Yeah.
Max?
Yeah.
Which they do. You know
I thought
that.
it was up 1%, and then it seems to get a little bit more every year.
I think it's 1.25%. I could be wrong, but the point is, we need those breaks in place. I heard this. I think Charlie brought it up last year or earlier this year. I knew this proposition to undo the commercial protections of Prop 13 were coming. I hope it goes down in flames. And I do agree with you. This is one last thing I'll say on the political front. When I sat, and I don't know what your conversation was with your niece, but when I sat with my son at the night of the 2016 election, November 8th, 2016, and I saw the blubber fest that was going on at Hillary's supposed, celebration arena, I told my son, who was 14 at the time, and I said, look, I go, mark my words, half of those young people that are in that arena that are under 25, in 4 years, they're going to be voting for Donald Trump. Why? Because they're going to have economic opportunities going in every direction in their young lives. And I use myself as an example. 1980, I voted for Carter because I was brainwashed by the media in Southern California. 1984, I learned my lesson, and I voted for President Reagan. So I think there's going to be a lot of switching over, and I agree with you. I think it's going to be a landslide, and I think the major media, pundits, polls are going to be so discredited, they're going to have to run and hide instead of this phony resistance baloney. Anyway,
well,
happy Thanksgiving.
To you too, Rory. Thanks,
All right.
Thanks for calling.
Take care.
479-1080. Our good friend Zoltan, who is a refugee from Hungary, sent an email saying Dr. Carson is a great man. The left just hates him for not depending on welfare like so many others. Then he says, hate speech by the German chancellor. The citizens hate to be killed by illegal migrants for the EU's suicidal invasion plan against mostly Christian population. The EU's plan was to reduce the middle class with government-dependent migrants for population replacement. Then it shows, looks like it's a video that says Angela dictator Merkel says freedom of speech must be curtailed to keep society free. Gee, do we dare play that? You know what? I want to play something else. I want to play something by John Voight. But let's get back to the phones here. Let's see. Dick in Santa Cruz has called back. Okay, Dick.
Hey.
Were you in the can or something before when we?
I don't know. It was my mistake. I'm sorry. I thought I blamed you first because you're talking about trolls. So I thought you trolled me out.
No, I don't do that. I do get rid of the trolls, and you're not a troll.
That was a joke. Okay.
Oh, geez. Thank you for pointing that out.
Anyway, I was just neurotic, I guess. But this hate speech is a sensitive thing, and Rory is right. It all started when our laws were kind of corrupted, and just like Rory said, every attack is a violent hate attack, and the way to put it in code and make it like one level worse is ridiculous. And it's PC correctness. It's that. Matter of fact, hate speech is a stepchild of PC correctness. There's so many things. You had a whole Saturday special, I believe, on PC correctness. I'm not sure, but you had a couple. Over the years. Yeah, I mean, this is the only country in the world that has the First Amendment. People don't know that, I don't think, but the First Amendment should really be cherished. But they're teaching in all the schools just the opposite. They're actually teaching at schools, not the First Amendment or the Constitution. They're teaching political correctness, and they're teaching hatefulness is acceptable. It's hatefulness in a sense that if you don't agree with us, we shut you down. Like, they don't let any conservatives on campus. Matter of fact, did you see where they shouted down the first lady last week or something?
Yes,
She was talking about opioids.
I did see
that. That was disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, the first lady they're shouting down. I mean, I don't know where society's going, but it's scary. And I think it started with the laws, like Rory said, and then it escalated. Of course, it was in all the universities, but it's taught there, this political correctness and stuff. But then it escalated even further into our laws. Do you remember the Massachusetts girl who couldn't talk she basically egged on her boyfriend to kill himself, and then it went to court in Massachusetts. And I think it recently happened in another case, a second case, where a girl had, said, "Yeah, go ahead, do it to yourself, you stupid idiot," and they did. I think the last boy was right at his birthday, his 16th birthday. Anyway. That really is disgusting too. Because people have to take responsibility for themselves. And yeah, you can be mean. I mean, that's what hate speech is all about, is being mean and protecting your meanness, basically. Now, you won't have any friends for long, but you shouldn't be sitting in jail, over taunting your boyfriend. There's a lot of critical thinking that's gone. It's all the teaching now at schools, safe spaces and limiting free speech, and then it goes into social media with Alex Jones, and you had a congresswoman on. I mean, she even got kicked out of her banking account.
No, it's a would-be congressperson. It was a whole. You're talking about Laura Loomer. She's running in the 21st district, I think, in Florida.
She was amazing. Yeah, she was good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you had the Google guy on.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and
he turned me on to her.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And one last thing. I know you gotta have the callers, but I would have some cross links. Linkages between your speakers that come on the Saturday special. That's.
That's a great idea. John T. Hopefully he's listening still, and he's the man that makes that happen. Yeah.
Yeah, that would really be nice. But the road we're going down, and with this hate speech and locking people up, and they've locked people up in the UK, they've locked people up in Austria for saying that Islam, slept with his 9-year-old, wife. It's so ridiculous. But people went to jail for that stuff. So you have to really, think what you want for freedom. Is freedom security, or is freedom speaking your mind? That's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you for saying it on KSCO AM 1080. There goes Dick in Santa Cruz. Here comes Tony calling back. I hope you're on a better phone, Tony.
Well, I have to get into my car to escape the rain. The only way I can use my iPhone is to get outside this metal box they call a mobile home. Anyway, I wanted to say good things about you. You are the epitome, as far as I'm concerned, of an example of the lack of ad hominem attacks. We had this discussion a couple years ago. One of the words you must have been searching for earlier in the hate speech is basically unthinking and probably just bad ad hominem type attack of a human being without any kind of reasoning at all. And but I want to make you aware of a word, an old word in the dictionary, misology, MOSOLOGY, which is an aversion to discussion. And one of the definitions is a hatred of reasoning. And I think we've got a lot of that going on right now. For some reason, if you make a lot of sense, it doesn't matter. People have their minds made up, and they will hate you anyway.
Right.
So,
oh my God.
Anyway, you forgot that we had a bet about that landslide. At the end of that show, when you were betting and people wanted to bet you thousands of dollars, I came up and I bet you a cup of coffee at McDonald's that there wouldn't be a landslide. So you had a lot riding on whether it did or didn't happen.
Well, there's no question that you're going to be buying me coffee on that bet. Yeah, and by the way, George Myers says, sorry to say, Trump will lose by a landslide. Your serious shows of late remind me of lighter days when you sang "So Happy You Are on YouTube." I'm the reason I'm so slow is because I have to squint. This is the, you know what? Start if you're going to write if you're going to write words that are too small for anybody to read, then I'm not going to read them. But one small criticism: please take smaller bites when eating your breakfast sandwich. Enjoy the rain. Stay off bikes.
Okay.
Wear white with your MAGA hat. Oh, thank you for bringing that up. I want to bring that up again. I want to urge everybody who supports Trump within the sound of my voice to get a MAGA hat. I'll talk to Dave Michaels in the Dave Cave immediately after this program about how to get some MAGA hats that also have KSCO logos.
Am I still with you?
Yeah, you are, Tony.
Could I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're a wordsmith and I'm a wordsmith, and I thought of the idea of having an enemy of the state called the ad hominis abominus. And you could have a program about how not to do ad hominem attacks, because you're a prime example of that as a human being.
Why don't we just call it the Prick of the Week Award?
Okay. On that note.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for calling.
Bye. Thank you.
There
Sure,
goes
bye.
Tony. Now here comes Pat. Is it Population Pat?
It could be.
It is. I recognize that voice anywhere. Okay. What about free speech, Population Pat?
Well, have you heard the story about it's okay to be white flyers being posted on, telephone poles and stuff where other flyers are posted?
Yeah.
Simply it's okay to be white. And the police and the FBI are now investigating this as a hate crime. And
oh, come on! You're not serious.
I'm not.
You're
I'm
being
not
Phil Hendry now.
I am not making this up. I swear this is factual. I know it sounds ridiculous, and it is ridiculous, but it's true. And you might encourage people here in Santa Cruz to make a point to say it's okay to be white and just let the poop fly as it may.
Well, it is okay to be white. It's okay to be every other color, too.
Obviously.
But why?
Nothing else. You could say it's okay to be any other color and you wouldn't be investigated by the FBI. Right.
Right.
I mean, you can say, you don't even, but we're not even saying white power. Just simply, it's okay to be white.
Okay.
It is now unacceptable.
But you know what? That's propelling the whole race thing, which I think should just be avoided. We're just all people. But anyhow, I'll think about what you said. I can't.
Well, in order for but the point is, if we've got to that point, and we just simply say, "Well, I'm not even going to go there," that just simply allows the next step to be taken.
Do you want to make a liberal's head explode?
Figuratively, I might.
Okay, John, I'm going to play this. We're going to go out with this. John Voight's new video will make liberal's head explode. Thank you, Population Pat. Always great to hear from you. And here comes John Voight. Okay, here he comes. It's loading here. So and we have less than 5 minutes. I wish it would stop. I wish it would stop loading and just start playing. What is the deal here? Now I'm going to have egg on my face because the damn thing won't load. All right. Well, I'll just do a tap dance. Griffin Queener, can you help me?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
War.
Oh, here it is.
This is war against truths. This is a war against the highest noble man who has defended our country and made us safe and great again. Let me stand with our president. Let us all stand with our President Trump in a time of such evil words trying for impeachment. This is a crime that the left are trying to force. This is a disgrace by such ignorant followers that have no truth of what truly has been brought back to our country. We have gained greatness. We have gained jobs. We have gained more than any president has promised. This radical left are destructive. Their codes of what is supposed to be are corrupt with lies, deceits, and anger. And we ask why. We ask, how can a human being have such anger toward the greatness of our country's glory? I'll tell you why. Because for so long their anger has been growing, and with such deep pain, with no open heart of loving and seeing the truth. The truth of what truly matters is the productivity of what was promised, and what we, the American people of the United States, were promised and have received. And what does the radical left do for such greatness? They want to destroy. They want civilization to be run like a corrupt ring. I say, stand now with Trump. Let truth prevail. And may God show all the truth, that we are truly a nation stronger because of our president. The left are afraid, for their power is lessening with every deal that is accomplished by Donald Trump. In the name of God and his power for this nation, let us stay strong and without such evil among us. God bless.
Okay, that's
people of the Republican Party.
This is the same guy.
I know you
must
will
have a
agree
cold.
with me when I say our president has our utmost respect and our love. This job is not easy, for he's battling the left and their absurd words of destruction. I've said this once and I'll say this again, that our nation has been built on the solid ground from our forefathers, and there is a moral code of duty that has been passed on from President Lincoln. I'm here today to acknowledge the truth, and I'm here today to tell you, my fellow Americans, that our country is stronger, safer, and with more jobs because our president has made his every move correct. Don't be fooled by the political left, because we are the people of this nation that is witnessing triumph. So let us stand with our president. Let us stand up for this truth, that President Trump is the greatest president since Abraham Lincoln. God bless America, and may God continue to guide this nation. Much love.
I will drink to that. Griffin Queener, thank you for doing a great job as always. Good to see you back and healthy again. That's great. And we're about at the end of the program here on your favorite radio station. Gee, we didn't get to talk about a whole lot of things, but there's always next week and whenever. Okay, see you next week.
That's all, folks.
You're
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 all, folks.
You're